This one is called Transformation. There is enough time. There is enough space. The molds will break. The limits will shatter. Can you experience this without searching for a solution? I couldn't tell you who I am. I wouldn't recognize myself. Everything changes no matter if you give permission. Patience is trust and practice. Do you trust yourself enough to give yourself time, to give yourself space, for experiencing every instance as it is, as you are? I wrote this very recently, last year in Africa when I was leaving the gathering. I feel like all of last year was a huge transformative process, especially in Africa. It felt like so poignantly going through a death, rebirth situation. I mean, there were so many symbols. Like, I spent so much time in the Ivory Coast. White is more of the traditional color of death. We were camping on a delta, which a lot of writers, or I've seen writers describe death as a delta, a river running into the sea. And honestly, on the whole trip, there was motifs of that, of death. Not just in Africa, like in Papua, when we went and saw the Asmats. They lived on a delta that we rode up to see them. And yeah, so it's felt very, I mean, that whole time it felt probably more like dying and letting go of everything. Since my birthday last year, I feel like I've been consciously letting go of parts of myself that just don't fit anymore, that didn't fit anymore. Also thinking about, I remember on my birthday on the boat, I just woke up crying for no reason. And that whole week I did that. And I think there was also a full moon on that week, so that makes more sense, because just there's so much energy on full moons. And also that week is the week my dad died, so it's just like an emotional week in general, not the same year, just the day. I remember not knowing why I was crying, but just feeling this overwhelming grief and heaviness that I just had to feel and process, and not knowing where it was coming from, but knowing that I needed to give it space to feel its way out and everything like that. Because you have to grieve the old, including your old self. I had a camper who, she was really scared of changing she was emotional about changing in herself, because she felt like every time she changed, it was like she had a little sister that died. That was how she viewed changing. And that does feel applicable. I was just talking about death, grief of transformation. But, I mean, it reminds me of that. And it makes sense. I feel like we think that when we're changing our lives, it's just going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to be awesome. And those are the two steps. I'm going to do the thing and it's going to be awesome. Or maybe that's just what my brain wants to think. But in actuality, like, you got to where you were, you got to where you are, if you're thinking about making a change, because of a reason. A job, a way of life, an idea, a desire, a relationship, like a reason for what led you to where you were, to where you are now, thinking of making this change. And everybody's reason is going to be different. But you got to where you are for a reason, and you obviously enjoyed some of it along the way. In very rare cases, you didn't, but you have to let go of that in order to change your life. Like, not everything in your life needs to die in order to go through a transformation, but you do have to let go of the way things were in order to welcome in a new way. You have to let go of the parts that you enjoyed as well sometimes. Like, you have to let go of what brought you joy, the things that carried you through the hard times that you had before. Sometimes they can't carry you through the next chapter. You have to have that grieving process. And I think we often want to skip it. I don't know if this is part of the human condition or if it's part of America. But it seems like we really just want to skip all of the hard emotions. Like, we want to rush through them and not take the time to listen to what they're trying to teach us. Like, I remember someone talking about depression in a sense of it comes around because it's a time in your life when something needs to change and you have to slow down enough to see what needs to change. Like, it's like a forced stop to make you look around and see what's going on. And that reminds me of my hypothesis or idea about suicidality. It's not that you want to die, because I've experienced this before. It's not that you want to die. It's that part of your life has to die, has to change. And the more comfortable we can get with death, the more comfortable we can get with change, because it's just like the ultimate change overall that we don't understand. But not everything has to die if you're going through a transformation. And also, I think we think if it's an intentional transformation, like I'm like, oh, I wanted this, then it's like hunky-dory, easy peasy, but it's still really fucking hard and confusing and difficult. It's still heavy, but you're strong enough. And it's heavy because it matters. Like, every part of your life matters. It was important to you in some way. Like, even the limiting beliefs you have about yourself, they are a comfort in a sense. They had a world-building moment for you. They might have even been not a limiting belief at one point. In the same way of, like, coping mechanisms. Don't start out as maladaptive. Like, I think about my eating habits when I was younger. Like, that was my little self trying to do anything she could to feel better. But now that doesn't need to happen anymore. She doesn't need to drive. Although it's not like those coping mechanisms are going to go away forever and ever. I mean, I guess you can do that if you want, but that sounds really difficult. But it's not like those coping mechanisms are going to go away forever and ever. It's also like, thank you, because they got you this far. Like, overeating, I coped through so many things with that. And got through so many things without it as well. But it's still a useful coping mechanism. It's just it needs to be applied strategically or knowledgeably. Like, I do think you can have a snack to make you feel better, but not 3 desserts. I mean, do what you want, but I know my truth. Because that makes me feel awful in the end. But it is a kind of mourning, like, even within that, like, not having 3 desserts. Like, dessert is delicious, and it's sad in a sense to stop eating when you're full, when you used to give yourself free rein. But you know it makes you feel better in the end. Like, longevity. I've been thinking a lot about the timing of everything as well. And of course, I'm trying to narrativize it so that it makes sense in my head. Like, this past month, I got this job in a nearby town. It takes about an hour and a half to bike ride. And I had 1 training shift. And then nothing else has happened. And that was like a week or 2 ago. And so it's kind of been like, well, what the fuck? You know, like, I need to save some money. And I want to work, and I'm a good waitress, if I can remember correctly. And I'm like kind of getting panicky because I have a self-imposed deadline, but we're going to stick to it. Late April being the time that I'm leaving here. And that's becoming less and less time to save up money. And I don't want to change my plans. I'm not going to change my plans. And so, I mean, I could always catch a boat contract really quick at the end. We'll see. But I've been fighting off feelings of anxiety about how long it's taken for the job to get going. Like, they didn't even text me at all last week. Anyways, with this timeline, with things moving slower, I've had a lot more time to be to myself, work on my podcast, work on my website. I've meditated so much, had so much time to invest and lay the groundwork for this next chapter and what I'm going to be working and building now. And having this downtime has been invaluable to use it intentionally. And so I've been trying to focus on that as the reason why the job hasn't started. Like, I know I will have enough money because I always have enough money for what I need. And I've expanded the ways that I get what I need. So, it's even better. Also, not trying to rush the process and trying to trust the divine timing of everything, because in order to get what you want, you have to be the version of yourself that can receive it. And I mean, even just thinking about money, I've bought a lot of stupid things in the past. Or just spent money on things I didn't need, which the boat was great because then I didn't have the opportunity to. And now I'm having to practice self-restraint, which means I spent a lot of time at my mom's house. But I mean, I haven't bought anything online. I've done a lot better. Yeah, been a lot more aligned with what I actually want my spending habits to be. But if I had I had to learn how to handle my resources responsibly. Otherwise, if I all of a sudden had a bunch of resources and didn't have a trip planned out or, I would just throw that money away, throw that energy away on anything and everything that sparked my fancy. And I don't want to do that. I want to be more intentional. And I think a lot about the phrase, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I think I've held romantic relationships and sort of food in the same scarcity mindset. If it's right in front of me, I have to eat it right now because this is my only chance. And that's just not true. And also, especially in romantic, obviously with food, that's not true. And you can fill in the blanks of where that takes you. But with romantic relationships, it's so much more insidious because it's so many tiny ways that you try to control and keep the relationship by making yourself small and by trying to fit in what you think needs to exist in order for the relationship to thrive. Trying to fit into the self that you think you have to be in order to keep this relationship. And that's just not how it works, because if you're not in the relationship, it's not a relationship. If you're not showing up, if you're not bringing yourself, then it's not going to work because it's not real. It's also funny how the more it seems you tend to suffocate yourself in a relationship, the more the relationship gets suffocated, because this reminds me of that philosophy that you are your own energy or person, and then you are friends or dating someone else who are their own energy and their own person, and then when you come together, the relationship is like a third entity. It's like a child of sorts, and that's one of the things you mourn when you have a breakup. But also, if you're not giving your part to the baby of the relationship, then the baby's gonna die. Like, it's like you gotta contribute. But now I'm realizing like another layer of it is by rushing into a connection, rushing into, especially physically, it also comes from, it feels partially at least, obviously, like when you're in the moment, you want something and you want something because you want something. But thinking about, I mean, that's the way I do food as well. Like if it's in front of me, I'm gonna eat it because it's delicious. But that's not the last time I'm gonna get to have this snack. And do I really want it right now? Will it really be satisfying right now? And thinking about romantic relationships in the same way, like, do I actually want this wholeheartedly? One of my favorite creators said, don't kiss someone unless you're dying to do so. And I really need to implement that more, because it's not just because you want to kiss someone because of the moment. It's also, do you want to kiss them because of who they are? And not just because they're there in this wonderful moment that you have a huge part in creating. I feel like part of why, quote unquote, finding yourself, or, you know, finding yourself, I guess, feels more like coming home sometimes than like creating a new self, is because I feel like for so much of most people's lives, we are constantly cutting off pieces of ourselves, or just hiding away pieces of ourselves that we think aren't good enough or won't work or someone can't love. But because you're not loving it also. Because I know I wasn't for most of the things. Like when you hold yourself back for so long from desire, from trusting your desire, you think about, think about hunger. Like, desire is natural, hunger is natural. If you starved yourself, like, how long would it take for there to be serious consequences? And I did the same thing with food. Like, I didn't allow myself to enjoy, and so then, or like, was constantly stressed about how much I would enjoy, and so then was constantly choking myself with like control and restraint and everything. And I have just been like I have said a few times in this, like, kind of treated romantic relationships the same way. Like, I've just been telling myself, like, you are allowed to text and like want to text the person you're interested in. Like, that's okay. That's part of it. Because I used to keep such tabs on how much I allowed myself any of that. Because I didn't trust myself, because I thought I would ruin it. I didn't think I could hold it, and I couldn't, because thinking that I couldn't. Like, that was what made it, like any connection I've had before this, that's what made it suffocating. And oh my goodness, I just so happened, since I am obviously thinking about all of this right now, to write a poem exactly about this. So we have a 2-for-1 in this episode. This one is called Desperate/Famished. When did you learn you were too much? When did you learn your desire was too great? When did you learn exactly what the status quo was and that you were outside of it? When did you start to starve yourself? When did you start to look outside for answers on how you felt inside? When did you start to chip away the pieces they said didn't fit? Are you desperate or famished? Have you ever wondered about the difference between those two? How long can someone starve before they start to stab at anything they can reach? How long can you hold back the waterfall? How long will you believe you have to? This also reminds me of the quote that our greatest fear is that we are actually capable beyond means. Yeah, like, we really can have everything we want if we allow it to happen. Like, I don't know how many of I don't remember. I feel like it has to do with the Tao. I don't remember who said this, but it's like, we get out of your own way. Like, we are the only things that are stopping us from doing anything. We are in our own way. We are the problem. Are you going to be part of the problem, or are you going to be part of the solution? I'm going to be the whole problem. Me at me. But actually, there aren't any problems. That is all just something to experience. Thinking about figuring out the problems adds so much pressure, because it's like figuring out means that there's a correct answer and that there's one way that you need to do something, whereas the truthier truth is you just have to show up as you are, like in the most honest, authentic way possible, and that's what will bring the best results. Like, that's the right choice. We figured it out. We figured it out. Like, we don't have to figure it out anymore. We don't have to think about it anymore. Just be yourself. Wow. How amazing. We have solved all of life's problems in 20 minutes. From disordered eating to disordered attachment styles. Almost got it all. I was a little late this week because I have been having some computer difficulties, and of course am back with what I was originally doing, and that's working best. I think I tried to overcomplicate things, of course. And I also offer tarot card readings online for anybody who wants one, who has any questions. And I sell collages online. New York really threw me out of my own loop. I sell my collages online and tarot card readings. I already said both of those things, and there's more on my website and more on my Instagram. I hope you are having a wonderful start to spring. I'm sure the transformation vibes are present for everyone. Happy eclipse season. Oh my goodness. Okay. Good night.